Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here at the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville, along with Blount County Sports Hall of Famer Donnie Moore and longtime sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons. Carson Newman assistant football coach Tony Ierulli will join us. Alcoa basketball standout Dwayne Easter is here with us. And so we're ready to get this show going here this morning. The SEC basketball tournament is in full swing, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set today's lineup card. Donnie Moore will fill us in on the latest high school sports news, and we'll follow up with the top national stories. Marcus Fitzsimmons will be on board to update us on what's happening in local sports, and we'll cover the teams and individuals who are making a mark. Today, Marcus has Maryville Christian boys basketball in his lineup. And I will jump in and talk some UT basketball and then follow up and break down the SEC basketball tournament. We're happy you're with us, so let's break the huddle and dive right in. Good morning to everybody on this rainy day. We're going to have to button down the hatches, they say, later on tonight, huh? Going to have some wind and so forth.
Bring your flashlights out and get everything ready.
That's right.
It's
That's
coming.
right, man. We're might like to get blasted here in a little while.
Yeah, before I get started on letter rip this morning, Tony, you've had a week of practice up there at the Carson Newman, so fill everybody in on how it's going up there.
Yeah, we started our first week
of practice football.
Spring practice, had 3 practices this week. Monday and Wednesday we went just helmets only. Yesterday we went to helmets and shoulder pads, and right now we got about probably about 120 guys out there right now on the team for spring ball.
Super.
Great enthusiasm. Coach Ashley Ingram's done a great job getting us ready, prepared to, going into spring, and so it's good. Spring ball is great because you after the season over, you're so wrapped up in recruiting and meetings and strength and conditioning training and all that. It's finally good to get out there and start playing some football and all that. And so it's just a good opportunity. We did a good job in getting some good transfers coming over to Carson Newman, get a chance. We got a couple guys from even out to California to come to Carson Newman. So and they love it. We got one guy. He transferred from junior college. I mean, he's in the middle of all the fires out there and all that. And for him coming over to East Tennessee, I mean, it's like he feels like he's in heaven out here. Yep. So we're just glad to have him with us.
Very good, and we're glad you're here.
It's always great, being around such insightful, wise. And I would say the same thing even when Ray Trail was here too.
I'll say, what show are you going to?
Donnie Moore, I've got a little bit of letter rip this morning, and
all right.
I hate to do this because I've got high school. High school is on the agenda this morning.
You're ripping high school.
Yeah.
Oh, snap.
I'm ripping Johnny Morgan a little bit. I hate to do that. He's a Blount County guy, Morgan, and played down at Friendsville, I think.
He did.
Good ball player.
His McMinn Central basketball team went down to the state tournament this past week, lost in the quarterfinals. And Johnny wasn't a very happy trooper. He came down pretty hard on the officiating. His team played badly in the game, but his primary knock were on the Zebras that were calling the game, especially there in the fourth quarter. And then after the game, to make matters a little bit worse, he stepped down as coach.
Sure did.
At 70 years old, he's no longer going to be the coach down there at McMinn Central, and what a career he's had down there. But when he stepped down, it was almost like, well, man, if that's the kind of officiating I'm going to have, I'm done with it. Pretty much. Kind of left that impression. But
do you feel like he kind of overreacted just a little bit?
I think it was. I think the big disappointment was I think that the retirement was on the agenda, but I think he was kind of expecting his team to win the championship, the state, and then he would call it a career, and things just went south on him. Right there in the fourth quarter of their game, and of course. They had pretty well, Donnie, taken care of business all year long. I mean, beating teams pretty badly.
Year long. Yes, they had.
So I know that it had to be disappointing, but he's gotten some publicity over this thing, and he did say that his teams didn't play very well, but he was really the large part of the criticism came down on the officials and Dwayne Easter. I'm going to tell you something. When you start criticizing high school officials, you're in a no-win situation. I've been there and I've done that, and you're going nowhere with that deal, fast. But He's gotten some criticism on it. I guess the Mid Central fans are all right with it because the ones who were down there at the game, they'll tell
Probably
you.
agree. Yeah.
But then there's other people that are saying, well, if you'd have won the game, would you have reacted the same way? You see, so he's kind of getting it from both directions. But Marcus Fitzsimmons, these officials, I don't know. Maybe you know this because you're on the high school scene pretty much, but. The criteria for calling state championship games down there, do they have to earn that during the season to call those games, or they just
they do grade officials during the year?
Yeah.
And we've had some of the Blount County officials have Hodges come by over the year, and they do grade them out, and they do try to get the best crews there. It's not as easy to do as what they do with football, where they do a great job of getting the best crews working those games. But they do get some of their best crews working. Now that said, you're also working with 4 classifications. You're also working a very long schedule, and you are You've got to basically have 4 more crews than you had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Down there to work. So you are rotating crews in and out, and there is some method to their madness by classification and what the crews that are going to work various games and who gets to work the actual championship game versus who works as a quarterfinal game. And
I'm sure, with Coach Morgan here, a lot of that, Donnie, probably had to do with the fact that it was a spur of the moment, type deal. And you know how it is when you right after a ball game you lose, and especially a big game that meant so much. You may say some things you may have regretted. On down the line. We've all done that as coaches, but I hate to see that because it's you hate for that mark to be left right there on a career such as he's had. Huh?
Well, if they look at Johnny's body of work throughout his entire career, he's been nothing but class. Nothing but respectful and nothing but a great coach.
Yeah.
And I wish him well in his retirement.
Yeah, and on the officiating deal, each district, the officials, when I coach, they seem to call differently. I mean, the officials in Upper East Tennessee, officials in West Tennessee, officials here. I always thought the officials that we had here in Blount County, I think Kenny Calder and Steve Hodgson, those guys that were involved in all of that, I think they did. I always felt real comfortable with that group going in. But when I went somewhere else, you could really tell a lot of difference in how they called the game. Maybe they didn't call it as you were used to being able to do maybe a little bit more, but you go somewhere else and they're calling all these ticky-tacky, fouls. It's just a whole different set of it varies is what I'm trying to say. You think that it's going to be consistent all through the state, but it's not. So, Johnny, we probably coming from the fact that, he's had his officials in his area most of the year. He goes down to the state tournament, who's over in, the western part there of Tennessee, so to speak, and he's getting officials that, is not used to their style and so forth. There's a lot of things that go into that, I think.
Right
about basketball more than any other sport.
Yeah.
Sport. Officiating is so critical, whether sometimes you win or lose, and it's tough.
They allow a lot more today than back when us guys were playing. They can push and over your back and all kind of.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
you don't even have to raise your hand when you foul.
How many years was he at
They don't
Central?
have to do that anymore.
How many years was he at Central?
Golly, how many years was he down there? 40-some years?
Yeah,
probably?
40-something years.
He was an outstanding player at the Tennessee Wesleyan.
Yeah, outstanding player at Friendsville High School.
And he had a brother that was a pretty good player, too.
Softy.
Yeah.
And Reed had 2 brothers that were good basketball
How
players.
many wins did he have total, do you know?
600?
Close to it.
Yeah. He's a legend. I just hate for him to kind of leave on that mark and all that. And I'm sure that's probably not the path he wanted to go.
And like I said before, I think he was planning on winning that state championship and then, giving it up and calling it, and,
riding off into the sunset.
Riding into the sunset. And he got thrown off the horse, so to speak, right there, before it happened. Got one other high school deal that happened last week. I've got to go out of state because on this one, back in my hometown there at Greenfield, and I mentioned on this show that Greenfield Central was in the sectional. And, of course, they've got the #1 player in the state, in Braylon Mullins, who's going to Connecticut. Well, in the sectional, they won their first 2 games handily, and they played for the championship last Saturday night. And they had not won a sectional in 28 years.
Wow.
28 years. Now, that's just the first step. That's not a state championship. That's the very first step. And I'm telling you, they're hard to win, those sectionals up there, because, you get 2 or 3 teams that are pretty good in the sectional, and it's tough. One loss and you're out. Well, they were playing Mount Vernon, which was a county rival, in the championship game, led by 14 points in the first half and dominated, really, the first half of play. And then Mount Vernon, who also had an excellent player, Luke Ierulli, he's already committed to go to Purdue, but he's just a junior. They started chipping away at the lead. They're in about the 3rd and 4th quarter, just a little bit at a time. Well, Greenfield, listen, this is almost unbelievable. Greenfield Central was up by 2 points with 8 seconds to go in the game and had one of their better foul shooters on the line with 2 shots. He makes the first shot, puts him up 3.
Yeah.
Misses the second shot.
Yeah.
So here's where let her rip comes in. You got 8 seconds to go. Mount Vernon's got to take the ball down the court, running the clock down. Foul him. They got to have a 3 to tie the game. Put him on the free throw line. They can't do anything with 1 or 2 seconds left. They let Ierulli take a 3, and he drains it with 1 second left to go in the game and ties the game up. They go into overtime. Nobody hits a field goal in the overtime. It's all free throws. They're tied in the first overtime, and they go to the second overtime, and Mount Vernon pulls it out and beats them by 7.
Oh, my gosh.
Beats them by 7.
Wow.
How about that?
So all they got to do is foul them at the end of regular.
Yes, foul them. Right. When they come up the court, there was probably 4 seconds by the time they came across, after the missed free throw.
Yeah.
Foul him, go to the free throw line. He's got have probably 2 shots, but what do you got? 2 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah.
Now, is that coaching or is that players?
I don't know. And the coach could have been up yelling and screaming and going on.
But then, okay, so you just demonstrated why you really want to hit that free throw and get the 4-point lead in that situation.
Yeah, that's it.
But yet we saw one of the arguably best basketball coaches in NCAA tell the player to miss in that situation with 2.5 seconds to play.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure we'll talk about that one later, but that still bugs me.
One of the great games. I mean, it'll go down as one of the great games. Played it up there at Muncie Central High School. They had about 7,000 people there for that final game. It's one of the older arenas, and the Braylon Mullins had 38 points, and Luke Ierulli had 36 in that basketball game. So it'll go down as one of the classic games, but here you got Braylon Mullins going to win Mr. Basketball, and he's going to go throughout his high school career without a first step sectional win there at Greenfield Central. And boy, they had it set up. Brownsburg came through the sectional, and the winner of that would play Brownsburg, and they upset 2 teams. Brownsburg's got a record of about 12-14 in the region, and you only play 1 game to get to the semi-state. So I mean, it was set up, to really advance and go on, but they're done.
Now, Indiana, are they still? I mean, it's broken up between divisions now, right?
It used to
be all. They play class basketball.
Yeah, it's different now because they still play 2 or 3 games in the sectional, which is the way it used to be. But they don't play 2 games in one day. You used to play 2 games at the regional 2 games one day, semi-state 2 games one day, and the state finals 2 games. But now you play 1 game in the regional, and you play 2 in the semi-state, but you play them on consecutive nights. You don't play in one day. And then you only play 1 game to win the state championship. So because of the smaller number of schools, there were 735 schools in the state tournament when I played with no classes.
Wow.
So now there's only 81 schools in 4A in Indiana. That's not very many.
But you lose and you go home.
Yeah, you lose and you go home. Yeah, they had that Fisher's sectional up there. They had 3 teams in there in the top 5.
Really?
So Fisher's had to beat 2 teams in the top 5 in order to advance, and they did. They haven't lost a game this year. But they had to struggle. They had to really work to get them 2 wins and knock those 2 teams out.
Bet.
So you talk about pressure. It's a tough haul, boy, up there in that deal. Hey, I want to talk a little bit of the baseball team is now 18-0, and they beat Florida yesterday 5-3, and they're scheduled to play here this afternoon at 3:30. We'll see what happens with the weather.
Don't know about that.
I assume if they don't play, it doesn't look good out there right now. It's pouring down rain, but if they don't play today, I'm sure they'll play a doubleheader tomorrow.
I'm sure.
And the Lady Vol softball team, they're 24-4. They beat Duke this week 1-0, and then they beat UConn yesterday in a doubleheader 9-1 and 4-3. They don't play today. They're scheduled tomorrow. So might have been better for Tennessee to have had a doubleheader yesterday and not played today and then gone tomorrow.
Well, you know, they were holding out trying to, because they were designated for a TV. This was supposed to be a televised game today, so they were holding out, trying to keep it on and make sure they could try to get it played and make it on there. But, you know, what a great start from Doyle.
Yeah.
You know, in the Battle of Aces in that first game, he comes out and just shines.
Yeah.
But by the way, since we're on radio, people didn't see us all ducking when we just heard that lightning bolt hit over our head.
And the Lady Vol basketball.
Somebody wasn't happy with Mike letting it rip on high school students.
Man, if that isn't a sign, I don't know what is.
Somebody
that was Ray. That was Ray Trail.
Somebody check my car. I'll call and see if my house is all right. The Lady Vol basketball team, they're waiting on Selection Sunday, which is coming up, I guess, tomorrow.
Tomorrow night.
So they'll 8 o'clock on ESPN, and we'll see where the Lady Vol goes and where they place them. A lot of Tennessee news this week, and of course we had the SEC honors in basketball. Newcomer of the year, Chaz Lanier of Tennessee. Defensive Player of the year, Zakai Ziegler. Zakai Ziegler was also a first-team All-SEC, and Chaz Lanier was a second-team All-SEC, and there was an all-defensive team. Jamal Meshack made that from Tennessee, and Zakai Ziegler made it. But I don't know. Dwayne explained to me all these. I mean, we had first-team All-SEC, second-team All-SEC, and academic All-SEC. That was it. But now I'm seeing defense and newcomer and freshman of the year and sixth man of the year and
sportsmanship in there.
I don't know, but kind of got some little bit. Is this the little bit for everybody deal going on now or what?
Kind of sounds like it.
Well, at least they've pared it back because we got a point there in the early 2000s where like the first team was 10 players and then the second team was 10 players. And at least they've dialed that back and gotten the numbers and gotten some quality control back on it.
So they got mentioned
50 honorable mentions. Huh?
They got mentioned for All-American too, didn't they? Some kind of sporting.
I think so. They're in line for some of those national awards.
Third team, I think.
It is still amazing how many organizations believe they have the knowledge and capability to issue an All-American certificate.
I think it was Sporting News or something like that.
My biggest gripe to this is they got all defensive this and all defensive. Where's the all-offensive team? Where's the all-offensive player? What's that all about? Is it somebody that can't
score? It's all about defense.
You got to. We feel sorry for all the guys that play defense and can't score. So let's do some awards for them.
Let's do our own All-American awards. The Mike Edwards Jack It Up There awards. The guys who are the best shooters or most willing to take the shot. We can do our own awards next year.
I guess. I don't know where they're at. I don't know. Offensive
most
player.
Prolific shooters.
Most prolific shooter. There you go. Most prolific.
You got to kind of look back. From maybe from a couple years down the road, looking back in this era has really been outstanding for Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think of their fall sports to basketball going on, baseball, softball, track success. I mean, this is really a kind of a golden era that's going on in Tennessee right now.
If Lonnie and Ray Trail were here, they would agree with me. But this is going back to the 70s. The late 60s and early 70s, where they just about won the All Sports Trophy. Every year.
Yeah.
They had great swimming and they had
track.
Track. Chuck Rowe was in track, and baseball, football, and basketball was in their heyday, and of course women's sports were just getting started, back in that time. So you didn't have that, but Yeah, you got to go way back, and of course, I think they've really kind of taken it to another level now because of their participation in the NCAA tournament, and so we didn't have a conference tournament. So, hey, I got Dwayne here, so I'm going to put him on. I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right.
I can see this coming. I can feel it in my bones.
Okay.
We got
That might be the weather.
Zakai Ziegler. Zakai Ziegler, one of the most popular of all basketball players ever. Now, I'm not talking about his numbers here. I'm not so sure his numbers warrant this, but popularity goes a whole lot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking right now, as soon as he takes that uniform off, there's going to be this push to retire it.
Well,
they're going to push to retire it. Now, he's number 5, and Lofton's number's number 5. So what are you going to do? I mean,
it's funny you said that because I was at an Alcoa basketball game the other night, and somebody that I know was talking about that exactly. I think he'd been watching maybe the Sports Source or something, and of course, John Pinkton said that Tony White's jersey should be retired before Ziegler's.
Right.
And I mean, if you could, I mean, he's a great player, and we'll see how All-American, all that. But they want you to be first-team All-American. I don't know if he could possibly get first team, but that'd be kind of tough.
I kind of know how I'm looking for this to go over there because I know how they are over there.
You have to be SEC Player of the Year too.
Tennessee thrives on those popular players over there. Popular players, recent players. You know, they're all over that deal, and you know, let's get them in there, and they want to satisfy the fan base, and they want that money coming in there. I'm just saying,
they can bring some
it's
money
not
in.
going to surprise me one bit. And then if you compare his numbers with a lot of guys that should be in there, you're going, well, his numbers don't add up to everybody else's numbers, but there's that popularity. There's that popularity.
I don't think there's any room kind of left over. I was looking the other day, and it looks like all the banners, there's not much room to put another one up there. They're so big.
Have to build a bigger arena.
Might have to go on the other side of it.
Well, once they got Tony's number up there and all that, I mean, that took a whole section, didn't it?
Well, it ain't up there.
We're still working on it.
Still working on it. Yeah. But he will be honored that Hall of Fame for athletic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's coming up.
That's coming April 11th, I think.
Spring
That's in the Ray Mears room.
Yeah.
It's kind of small, but
yeah. Hey, let's
tough
talk.
Ticket.
Tough
ticket.
Well,
and you would think with the university that has been so adept at fundraising, they would turn that into a true ticketed event.
That's exactly what I said.
I
mean, they could charge $100 a ticket.
Sure.
And go over
fill it up.
Go over to where do they do the Knoxville?
At the convention
center. They could, I guarantee you. But now they've got the Ray Mears room, and Tony was telling me that he's not even really going to get enough tickets for his family.
Man.
I mean, much less anybody else. I mean, coming in there, the public.
I'll tell you what they told us back when I was in high school. The head of the JCs in my hometown of Greenfield, decided he thought it'd be a great fundraiser to have the Indiana basketball all-stars come to Greenfield for a banquet, you know, before the Indiana-Kentucky basketball series, which back then was called the World Series of Indiana basketball in the summertime. And Ray Richardson, one of the Chambers guys, looked at the guy, Niall White, that was trying to get it going, and he said, I'm going to tell you right now, they'll sell out these arenas to see these boys play, but they're not going to sell out that Legion Hall down there to watch them eat. Well, anyway, they had it anyhow, and there was no room. They sold all the tickets, and I'll tell you right now, they did the right thing, because you can't imagine how much food George McGinnis put down that night. It was really worth really worth the price of the ticket just to watch that guy eat. I'll tell you what, he put it down.
But I agree with Marcus, because I mean, you got Eric Berry coming, of course Tony, A.W. Davis, of course he's passed away, but then the other people, I think it's golf or tennis, whatever, but public would love to come out and see Eric Berry or Tony. You know, I can't understand that. That's a way to make some money. They like money.
You got that brand new university center. It's got a ballroom in it. I mean, it seems like you could use the space, or you might be able to beg from the main campus to say, hey, can we use some?
They're not even going to have enough space for the family of the people that's being honored to be there. I think that's sad. I really do.
Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate you going ahead and putting in another letter rip this morning. I tell
Well,
you what, I wish
Marcus
I
wrote
wish
that.
I wish I'd
Good job.
I just
I
primed
wish-
that pump. I'm
Dwayne-
not responding.
I agree
See,
with
that's what he does the best.
I agree with
He
you.
just kind of gets it going.
Dwayne, I wish I'd have known that. I would have just stepped over to the side and let
That's-
you handle that this
Well, that's
morning.
fun. That's exactly what I talked about. $100, you know. Like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, let's talk about the SEC basketball tournament. I'll start with you, Tony Ierulli. Your thoughts on the tournament so far?
Well,
top one.
it's been great. I mean, it's the SEC is so deep in the basketball talent and the teams. You know, now we got the top 4 teams are going to be in the Final Four for it. You know, great games. You know, we were up late last night watching the Alabama-Kentucky game, and you know, before that it was Florida and Missouri. That turned out to be a great game. It was good for me watching Florida because the one player, number 10, Hauk, blonde-haired player for. I coached his father up at Shippensburg
Really?
University.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so we were texting during the game and all.
Really?
And I mean, who's our pick? You got Florida and Auburn and Alabama and Tennessee.
It's a tough deal,
man.
you know. And it seems like, you know, the coaches. You know, you get with these coaches. Some of the coaches feel like, well, you know, I don't know if it's a good thing to go all the way through the tournament, and you know, the wear and tear and so forth. And some of them's like, well, maybe it's best just go ahead and go on home and get ready for the NCAA tournament. But Marcus Fitzsimmons, it looks like the kids really enjoy playing the tournament. It's a big deal. I mean, they're playing some great basketball out there, and most of the games have been pretty exciting, pretty close for the most part.
For the most part, I mean, you've only really had 2 upsets in this tournament. But at the same time, if you looked at yesterday and the matchups you were getting, you can't tell me that's that much different than Sweet 16 weekend of the NCAA tournament as far as the quality of the games were.
Yeah.
I mean, you could kind of toss out Kentucky had a bad late session, but you're going to get that in the Sweet 16 as well.
Yeah.
But everything else, I mean, they were close games. It wasn't like anybody just totally ran away from it beginning to end.
Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee led start to finish, but that, you know, most of that time the margin was between 5 and 7 points.
Yeah. I've got surprises down here and I've got disappointments down here, but you know, I'm just saying, Dwayne, Kentucky fits that bill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised they got beat like they got beat last night, like a drum. What was it, 90-65 or something like that?
I was surprised.
And
99
also
to 70.
and that's a surprise. And also, I'll just put them down for a disappointment while I'm at it. Huh?
I was going to tell you, Tony, maybe he can come back. Tony White can come back and tell us from being down there, he's going to be down there at this game. One thing I was wanting to ask, do they not call over the back anymore?
No.
Hey,
What are you talking about?
nope. I know
You
what
can,
it's-
you can stand there as long as you want, and you can go over anybody's back as much as you
They went
want.
over that guy's back, and then they end up getting the ball. I was
Yeah.
like, how's that work?
Yeah, I brought something up here to start more. I think Zakai Ziegler's had a great year. I
Yeah.
think he's had an outstanding year, and one of the things that he does with the basketball for Tennessee that really makes him go is his penetration to the basket. He can penetrate to the basket, and he can lay the ball in there, or he can get it and he can dish it off to somebody else. But what a lot of people don't understand that he's been given a tremendous help on that, so to speak, because he palms the ball. He palms the ball every time. He palms it when he brings it up, and when you
Turns it over.
when you palm the ball with somebody guarding you, and you palm it, you get that quick first step on that particular player. And he's really taking advantage of that rule that they're not calling.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
I'm singling him out, and I don't mean to just come down
No,
on him.
others do it too.
There are other players that are doing the same thing. That is a tremendous asset to the
yeah.
offensive player if you allow that player to palm that ball and carry it on that first deal. But you look at him, his hand is completely under that basketball when he's dribbling. That's a violation.
Yeah.
They could call him every time he's got the ball. But the same with a lot of other players too. You know, it's not just him.
It's not
but,
just him.
Just
yeah.
not called
but
anymore.
he's used it.
No.
He's used it as effectively or more effectively than anybody in the
They
country.
let you do it. You know,
Yes,
get away
sir.
with it.
Yes,
you know.
sir. Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Ziegler's been at Tennessee for 4 years, hasn't he? I mean,
Yes.
I mean that's what I'm impressed with. You know, especially nowadays, you don't see 4 or 5 year players anymore at the team, and so a lot of respect for that.
Yeah, he's been there. He's been there 4 years. It seems like he's been there for forever. I was asking Marcus this morning because I thought he'd been there 5 years. A lot of players, have had the 5 years. I guess with the COVID year or maybe a.
Well, didn't
a
they say
year,
possibly could get another year?
No, I don't know.
Didn't they say something about that, Marcus? That they could possibly get another year?
I think there was an appeal that they could make, but he's technically after the COVID year, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, COVID year was 20, wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give him another year because that would set back retiring his jersey a year. So I don't think that's.
Pretty sure there's not going to be any more.
They want to get that done just as soon as they can possibly get that done. For sure. Hey, we'll take a timeout here, and when we return, Donnie Moore will provide some high school tournament scores and news, other news from around the area, and then veteran sports writer Marcus Fitzsimmons will join us with his feature Mark It Down. You're listening to the Goteez Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Goteez Sports Page. Donnie Moore, I'm telling you, we got Heritage playing for I know you're going to talk about this, but you and Marcus, but Heritage's girls are going to play for a state championship there, I guess today or tonight.
Yeah, first time ever.
First time ever.
If they win it.
And then when we get finished here with this, the girls, then we got Alcoa and Maryville heading down there. We've got 3 teams from this county playing state championship basketball.
Sure do.
I'll tell you what, when you throw in high school football and cross country and golf, I tell you, is there a better sports in the state than Blount County?
I'm not real sure about. I don't think
All
anybody
around.
would have an argument
around.
for for being a better league anywhere.
Yeah. But I mean, all around sports in Blount County, it'd be hard. It would be hard to beat. Don't you think, Dwayne? Around the state, I mean, we're blessed with a lot of great high school coaches here and a lot of outstanding teams and enthusiasm and so forth. And,
support.
You're right.
And now Alcoa's going. Dwayne, are they going for
3?
They're going for the three-peat down there.
Three-peat, yeah.
Unbelievable.
They went from 1967 all the way to now before they got one.
They're making up for it.
They're making up
in
for it
royal
now.
fashion, so to speak, right now.
Yeah.
Donnie Moore, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mike. It's time for our local scoreboard, brought to you by our friends at Mandy B. Street Realty. See Mandy for all your real estate needs. Talk about some prep sports here. First of all, baseball was in action yesterday and last night. There's a lot of these, a lot of them playing in cure for cancer tournaments and so on like that right now.
They're on spring break.
They are on spring break. You're right, Marcus.
Yeah, it's spring break week, so there's several that are out of state played in Alabama and Florida, and several of those. We talked to Heritage Baseball last week, and they were getting ready to head off to Gulf Shores. So there's a lot of that going on, and there's also a little bit of taking advantage of being out of school and maybe working a little bit and having some good days.
Sure.
Without the pressure of class.
Yep, that's true. But anyway, we've got a couple of scores for you here in baseball. Eagleton took on Clinton last night, or yesterday sometime. 8-5 result of that score in favor of the Dragons. Eagleton took a loss right there, but they're looking forward to getting on their new field.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, we'll
talk
talk about that. We will. Marcus, Kings Academy wins against Alcoa.
I've got to
yesterday.
say that was the one that surprised me yesterday.
That was a surprise. You're right.
But
7-2 in favor of TKA.
I also don't know the situation if that was one of those tournament games where they might have been playing some people, or if
Could've
Kings
been.
may have put together a good team this year. I really haven't had a chance to go over and look at them.
Yeah.
Is that softball or baseball?
That's baseball.
That's baseball.
Yeah, so we'll have to follow their team a little bit more closely from here on out. William Blount played Cumberland County at Sevier County last night, so it was on a neutral site. And the Govs put up 16 runs against Cumberland County. 16-2 was the final score.
And I'm going to say it's great for the Govs, but I'm going to say I'm betting that we were down to JV pitching by the end of that one.
Quite possibly, yeah, quite possibly. Moving on to softball, I've only got one score to let you know about because the rest of them did not respond, did not post their scores, and I couldn't find them. But Powell beat Maryville in softball 3-2, close run, one-run game yesterday.
And that's two teams we might be talking about in May.
Very likely, yeah. Good softball teams right there. So they may be down the road in postseason, might show up strong. Basketball, girls basketball. Let's talk about the game that went on yesterday in the Class 3A state semis at MTSU. This sounds more like a baseball score almost, or at least a softball score, than it does a basketball score. But the Lady Mountaineers of Heritage beat South Gibson 36-29. Didn't put up many points.
I looked that score up there on
Yeah,
I thought it was a halftime score.
Looked
and then
twice.
looked over and it said final.
Yeah.
Now, remember, South Gibson in the first quarter had an 8-2 lead, which didn't seem insurmountable, but it seemed like kind of ominous.
Mm-hmm.
But given that they were only going to score 21 points the rest of the game against the Heritage defense, that was as good as they got, was the first 3 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Heritage had the big 17-point second quarter where they kind of took control. And wow, it was just a brutal. I mean, you had 24 fouls called on South Gibson. You had 4 players foul out.
Good grief.
Looking to see what the total was for Heritage, but they also got whistled a lot. And you had 18 turnovers by both teams. You had double-digit steals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a slugfest. And then the question for today, because they'll be playing for the state championship this early evening against Northview. We could have played that here. We didn't have to go to Murfreesboro to do this. But Carson Swaney goes down at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and Heritage doesn't get a field goal after she leaves. They scored at the foul line, but irony of ironies, she's at MTSU. That's where she's going to be the next 4 years after she graduates, and she gets a foot injury in the fourth quarter of the state semifinal, and she's questionable at best for today.
And Northview, do you know a whole lot about Northview, Mark?
We've talked about them some.
We have, yeah.
Just because we've seen them play we've seen them beat Seymour a couple of times. We've seen them with wins. I believe they may have split with Sevier County.
I think you're right.
I think they were 31-2 going into it, but
not a bad record.
They've had a really, really good season. I think Heritage has probably had a tougher schedule just because of the rivalry games they played and some of the competition that Coach Howard has scheduled. But I expect this to be a really tough game either way, because I think Heritage is going to struggle without Carson scoring-wise, but I don't think it's going to compromise that defense. And when you hold – Heritage did not give up a single quarter with double-digit scoring yesterday.
Wow.
They kept them in single digits every single quarter. And you give up 29 points in a state semifinal. I mean, I care how bad your shooting was. If you can hold somebody 29, you're going to win 90% of the time.
Of course, they've got 2 strikes against them. Lady Mountaineers do. They've got two
You've got
of their starters hurt, right?
Well, I mean, Carson's hurt, and we don't expect her. But you've got another senior in Chloe Heath. It's very possible.
Chloe's
clutch
very
and,
steady.
The thing that's going turnovers is what they're going to have to battle.
Yeah.
Without Carson there, and they struggled with it yesterday against a very aggressive defense, and we'll see what happens tonight.
All right, very good. We'll talk about Maryville Christian girls a little later.
Well, we've got somebody that can speak on that.
Well,
you
that's
want to
right,
go
we
ahead
do.
and transition over on that?
Well, let me give you one more score before we go, okay?
Okay.
This is another baseball score that I overlooked up there. Watertown beat Seymour 6-3 yesterday. So where's Watertown? You know?
West Tennessee, isn't it?
I think you're right.
Don't ask me to pick it out on the map.
Well, no, I probably couldn't either, but I think you're right about it being in West Tennessee. Well, that's all for the Mandy B Street Realty local scoreboard at this time. I want to remind you listeners that you are tuned in to WKCE 92.5 FM and 1180 AM Mid-Century Radio. And now, Marcus, I'm going to let you take all the time you need within reason.
Within reason.
He
always gives me that proviso.
Within reason for your local segment entitled Mark It Down.
Well, thanks, Donnie.
You're welcome.
And you gave us the great transition, and then you kind of just bobbled that ball a little bit, handing it off. But Maryville Christian boys are joining us this morning.
Yeah.
So if you're tuning in at this point, you've just seen the camera change, and we've got new shining faces that are much better than ours showing up on YouTube and Twitter and Twitch. So Coach Brian Turbyfield is here. He's brought one of his, I would say up-and-comer, but he's a veteran at this point, really, Coach. But before you introduce him, I'm going to let you brag because Donnie was kind of hinting at it, but you got a national championship banner to bring home for the girls program. So as far as things that go in that gym, it's been a little while since one of those has come home, so it's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Our high school girls basketball program.
There we go.
There it is.
Yeah, our high school girls basketball program had a phenomenal year this year. I truly do believe that there wasn't a more deserving group than that coaching staff and that group of girls. Coach Hudson does a phenomenal job of the program that he's built over the past 4 or 5 years. The culture that he's built there with the girls, and them just buying into their philosophy and their style. And they had a great senior group that really led the way. And like you said, I think 3 years in a row they got second place at the tournament. Yeah. So this year they were able to get the job done with an extremely special group, and it was a great accomplishment for them. So we're happy for them for sure.
And, you've got dual hats, so you get to take pride in that.
Yeah.
Besides being the boys' basketball coach, also as the AD. So, yeah. I saw them play early in the season, and I was impressed then, and they've done nothing but really get better as the season's gone along. But I could say some of the same thing for your boys' team. I saw them very early in the year, and, I was looking at the schedule, and I'm thinking about it. Y'all took on Cofield twice, and Cofield's sitting there waiting to play next week in the boys' single A TWS Day State tournament. Your schedule is not cupcake.
No. And I know we've talked about this in years past when we've been on. That's something that we want to do with our high school athletic programs is challenge them. So we want our schedules to be challenging for our student athletes, to put them in big-time environments, put them on big-time stages, play against some big schools and challenge them and compete. And, sometimes we're able to get the job done, and the times we're not, we just use them as learning lessons. So,
well, you've got a young man sitting with you, came in this morning, so let's give him a little bit of love for getting up at the crack of dawn on Saturday.
Absolutely. So this might be a shock to anybody that's seen us play this year. This is an 8th grader, Kason Cable. He was our starting point guard the entire year this year, and just did a phenomenal job. Of playing at the high school varsity level. He averaged 13 points a game for us, was our second leading scorer. And as you all know, your point guard is kind of the one that you put a lot of responsibility on. And as an 8th grader, I think he did a phenomenal job of that, leading our group. So, yeah, I think y'all can pick his brain a little bit now.
Well, we'll let you brag one more. You all are coming back from your own NACA tournament appearance.
Yeah.
Kind of break that down because, with the jumble that is spring sports in the past 2 weeks of March now, it probably didn't get as noticed as much as it should have, but y'all had a good postseason run yourselves.
Yeah, we were playing our best basketball towards the end of the year. Closing out the year, we won 6 of our last 7 games. We made it to the semifinal game in our end-of-the-year tournament, and some unfortunate whistles in the last minute of the game, but we ended up losing that game by 2 points. But then the beautiful thing is that we had one more opportunity on that Friday. So we won that game and got to end the year on a win. So we ended up 3rd place in our division, which wasn't our goal, but like I said, we got to end the season with a win. So that was obviously very, very important for us.
And, the good thing is, Coach, that 2-point difference in the semifinal is going to bug you and probably pop up every now and then. For the young man sitting beside you, he probably doesn't even remember it right now, and he's certainly not going to remember it by the start of next season.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're going to use it as a learning lesson, use it as some motivation here in the off season. But like I said, with him only being 8th grade, he's got 4 years of high school basketball still ahead of him. So I'm really excited to see what his journey takes him. So
we'll pick on Kaysen. I mean, he's taken the pressure all year, so I'm sure he's capable of handling a little bit of heat from us. But, you walk on the court and coach is like, hey, guess what? You're going to be starting this year as an 8th grader. By the way, these guys are going to be about twice your size and 4 years older. You good with that?
I mean, start of the year, I didn't even know if I was going to play varsity. I mean, it was just a big surprise. But, I mean, I was welcome to join the varsity team, and starting was not my goal. My goal was just to play a little bit, but, I got up and started for the varsity, so I was very excited and very happy to play.
What was this postseason experience like, as far as getting your first look at that kind of environment that you all play in with the NACA?
Yeah, it was different, not really what I thought, but it was fun, and it's something that I feel like will be enjoyable when I get older, and something that we can compete in pretty well.
So when you're coming in, it's tough for a freshman, but 8th graders it's even tougher. Are the seniors welcoming, or are the seniors intimidating?
They were somewhat welcoming. I was actually very surprised at the start of the year. I felt very welcomed and supported throughout my journey as a starter, so I was very, very happy about that.
Coach, it's a good bad mixture type of thing when you're bringing in somebody that talented but young, but at the same time you've got seniors and you've got to make everybody mesh together. And how difficult is that to kind of get that formula figured out?
Yeah, I mean, it's a journey you got to navigate. We sat down with every single player at the beginning of the year and kind of discussed what each player's role was going to be for our team. And I think our guys did a really good job of buying into that, whether they were a senior, an 8th grader, a sophomore, playing JV and varsity, just varsity. I think our guys had really good chemistry on the court this year. We had a mixture of some seniors who had been playing with us for all 4 years, like Isaac Fritz, who, I could talk about him for an entire segment. But then you had some seniors who came in that were completely new to our program. So, our guys did a really good job of gelling as the year went on. And like I said, I think you could see that from by the end of the year, we win 6 of our last 7 games. We were really clicking after our Christmas tournament and once we got back in January. So, yeah, it was a challenge we knew that we were going to face at the beginning of the year, but I think it definitely worked itself out. And it was, mainly because the guys just bought into what we were trying to accomplish.
Yeah, I'm still thinking back to when I talked to you early in the season, and I just want to bring it up because I thought it was funny at the time. But I think it was fall break y'all just come back from, and most of your team comes back as blondes, and they did not leave that way. So you had like your own little blonde ambition tour going. What how did that work out? Did the blonde stay? Did they let it go?
So yeah, from what I was told, a bunch of it was mainly our senior guys. A bunch of them went on a beach trip for fall break, came back, and I guess they decided while they were there that they were all just going to bleach their hair. So they all came back with bleached blonde hair, which was a very unique look. But I told them, hey, if it makes you play better, then I'm fine with it. I don't care.
As long as your parents don't ground you from practice, you're
exactly.
okay.
And I was like, I would keep in mind you got Christmas family pictures probably coming up, so keep that in mind as well. But yeah, I think some of them, they just kind of owned it and let it grow out as the year went along. I don't think any of them did it again. But some of them still got the little blonde tips in their hair and stuff like that. So it was pretty funny.
So, and here you go taking them back. You're taking them on a road trip. So there was no surprises coming out the morning that they'd gone off and gotten it redone?
No, yeah. We keep a close eye on them.
Okay.
They're excited when we go out of town, and it's a fun experience getting to get a hotel and stay and then, have a good time. So, but we keep a close eye on them, make sure that they remember why we're down there. So.
And for you, and like I said, you play a lot of public schools, a lot of the private schools are in NCAA. What's the biggest games on the schedule for the coaching staff? Is it some of the locals rivalries, or is it more some of the teams are going to be good?
Yeah, I think each year is unique in its own way. We have schools that we want to play every single year, and sometimes we're not able to get it to work out. So we just go in with the mentality that every game is a new opportunity. Where we want to go in, make a statement for what Maryville Christian's about, go compete, and let the results take care of themselves.
And Kason, for you, was there a game that you are going to remember from this season, like one that kind of stood out to you?
Probably a big one was our Christmas tournament. It was, I don't know, maybe first or second game. It was against Lakeway, and, they were a good team. We could tell that they were going to – they won the championship, I believe, that Christmas tournament. I'm not for sure, though. But, they were a very good team, and I feel like we fought very well, and I personally played pretty good in my opinion, so I feel like that was probably a big game to remember.
Yeah, and to bounce off of that, that was the one I was hoping he was going to say. If you would have saw us warming up and them warming up, you would think it wasn't going to be a game whatsoever. They got a 6'10" kid that's a foreign exchange student. Every single starter's bigger than every single one of our guys, but our guys just competed their butts off that night. Got it to single digits early in the fourth quarter. Just kind of ran out of gas. He had 28 points, so Kason had a phenomenal game. Isaac Fritz, I think, had 27 for us. So kind of our two guys stepped up in the biggest moment. And Lakeway's a phenomenal program with
a very good program.
Yeah,
private school.
We ended up losing the game by 19, but it was one of those, where the score wasn't quite indicative of how the game went. We had a foul to try to give ourselves a chance late in the game. But, yeah, I think that was definitely Kason's biggest moment this year for us.
And was that also, Kason, the game where it kind of solidified in your mind that I can play with anybody in this that we're going to see now?
Yeah, that was a game that gained a lot of confidence for me. Like, after that, I felt like I could really hang with everybody that I was competing with, so it was definitely a big game for me.
And as weird as this is to say, you're going to be coming back next year as a ninth grader. You have a bunch of seniors who have just left. You're going to be an old man on this team as a freshman next year. Are you ready for that?
I am. we're going to have to show a lot of leadership, which is interesting, but yeah, I think I'm ready.
Coach, are you ready for that?
Yeah, we're going to be really young next year, but I think that's also an exciting thing because, you've got pieces to build towards in the future. So, I'm looking forward to the challenge and ready to see what we can accomplish.
And you mentioned him a little bit when you're in passing about one of your seniors, but Fritz didn't he pass the 1,500 point mark?
Yeah, so he surpassed 1,000 and 1,500 career points this year. This year he scored a total of 682 points, averaged 23 points per game for us, and is probably one of the most gifted, just pure scorers that I've ever coached for sure, but even just gotten to watch at the high school level. He's an elite level scorer at all three levels. Excellent outside shooter, gets to the free throw line very consistent, finishes very well around the rim. So obviously that's a big shoes we're going to have to fill. But he played for us all 4 years, and couldn't be more proud of him and what he accomplished in his 4 years at Maryville Christian.
Now, is he an efficient scorer, or is he like a Mike Edwards
No,
type scorer where he just wants to put the ball up?
Yeah, no, I'll be honest. He's extremely efficient. He had a 51-point game earlier this year before we went on Christmas break, and his shooting percentages, I can't remember them off the top of my head, but they were both from the three-point line and from the two-point field goal. They were both over 50%. So he's an extremely efficient scorer, and that's what I think makes him so special is he's not going to be one that has to take 30, 35 shots a game to score that many points. He can do it in 15, 16, 18 shots because he's also going to get to the free throw line by drawing fouls.
So I'll put you a little bit with your athletic director cap on. You were down at the national tournament. Meanwhile, back here at the ranch, everything else is starting up around you. Baseball, softball, soccer, everything's. Is that tough for the AD? do you have what's the support staff like back here?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a great support staff. Coach Hudson, he actually also works in our athletic department full time as our sports information director, and then our assistant athletic director, Griffin Tate. He's also our high school baseball coach. So, you know, they're always a great support staff. But it is a little bit stressful because I'm out of town at a tournament, and knowing that we've got to get our spring rosters finalized, we've got to make sure the field's painted, we've got to make sure jerseys are ordered, and then we come back from our tournament and we've got 3 home baseball games our first week. So, you know, it's not been much of a break for me this spring break, but, you know, I love it and I wouldn't change it. So our baseball team had a good opening week this week. So
now, is it like some of our other teams where now that we have no clear separation between the end of basketball and the start of baseball? Is there a frantic changing of uniforms for some of your kids? Because at a smaller school, you do have a lot more multi-sport athletes.
Yeah, I mean,
where they were taking their basketball jersey off and putting on cleats and running onto the field.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a handful of guys that's the case for every season. You know, Ben Paddock, he played on our basketball team this year, and he's one of our best players on our baseball team. So he went straight from, you know, our basketball tournament on Friday to baseball practice on Monday and a baseball game on Tuesday. So, and then we've got some guys that play soccer as well. So,
well, Mike, you that coaching status? You have any burning questions you want to put towards Coach Turbyfield?
Oh, I'm good. What's it look like for next year, and also what's the plans for the summer?
Yeah, so I mean, for this summer, we've got tons of summer sports camps that we're going to be offering. Those are open to the public. Some of them start from 1st grade all the way to 8th grade. So we do those for cheer, volleyball, tennis, basketball, soccer, baseball, softball. So pretty much every sport we offer summer sports camps, and like I said, those are open to the public as well. Our high school varsity coaches lead those, so it gets a chance for them to kind of connect with the community and our younger kids that attend our school as well. And then for next year, you know, just getting ready this summer, practicing, working our butts off, and getting ready for next fall. So, do your teams attend a lot of team camps in the summertime? Yeah, some do. It just depends on the group and kind of what their chemistry's like. You know, if they were a younger team, they may focus a little bit more on, you know, just practicing at the school, getting that chemistry built up, that cohesion built up. But yeah, a lot of our programs, they'll do team camps in the summer, but we'll stay relatively local. And then do a lot of strength and conditioning as well. That was something that we were very excited about. We've got a young man, actually a graduate, Ryan Hudson, who is leading all of our strength and conditioning for our high school varsity sports teams. So we'll be hitting the weights with him 4 or 5 days a week in the summer, getting bigger, faster, stronger with our weight room that we just got this past year. So
I was going to ask you about your weight room, but what about other facilities in the future?
Yeah, that's kind of the next step. So from a facility standpoint, that's when we're going to be taking our next steps. We actually just got a new head of school, and he is coming from Indiana and is coming from a school who grew tremendously. So he has a very strong background in that, and especially with growing the school from a facility standpoint as well. So we're really excited about that and getting to work with him. So.
Well, I'm excited, too, for somebody from Indiana coming down here and being part of your
there you go.
You need company, right?
Yeah, we'll get him on the show here.
Somebody else that walks to get their mail in 4 feet of snow and flip-flops.
Yeah, I don't know how many snow days we're going to get with him, but we'll see.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming in, Case, and I appreciate you getting up, coming to visit. I have the feeling we might be seeing some more of you over the next couple of years, maybe.
Maybe.
Coach.
Absolutely.
It kind of feels that way. But anyway, we appreciate you coming in, and congratulations on a great run
Thank
this
you all.
season.
Thank you for having us.
Sir.
And
Thank
Mike,
you.
we'll go ahead and turn the page.
All right, Mark. Time to turn the page. Next up is the Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week segment. You're listening to the Goteez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports. Very good.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew, and now it's time for the Goteez Sports Page Player of the Week segment featuring Daily Times senior reporter Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 100 years. Marcus Fitzsimmons, back to you.
Well, thanks, Mike. Great guest this morning from Maryville Christian, by the way. Appreciate them coming in.
Great segment.
I want to revisit briefly. We were talking about the Heritage girls and their game and what we're expecting from them tonight. And when you've got a Division I signee in Carson Swain, who's going to MTSU, and Division II signee in Chloe Heath, who's going to Carson Newman. You get to the state semifinals, that's where you're looking, that's where you're leaning, and everybody knows who they are and and that's who they're defensive. So I just wanted to point this out. So Carson was 3 of 12 last night. Chloe was 3 of 10. So that was 6 of Heritage's 11 field goals in the game. But you had Aaliyah Smith was 2 of 7 and Faith Morris was 3 of 7. They hit some huge shots in that second quarter that allowed Heritage to build the lead and also take some of the attention off of those 2 seniors, made Sal Gibson defend the whole floor.
Right.
So that was huge for them. But having those younger players step up into that was something that Heritage had told us earlier in the year when they visited with us that was something they needed to do and wanted to do. So seeing that on the biggest stage, or the next to biggest stage that there is, was probably something that Coach Howard could probably appreciate looking at the film when he gets a chance. And
If he gets a chance.
If he gets the chance, because it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah, it is.
And then I will say Northview, it was a 52-51 win over Dyersburg, defending 3A champ that they had to beat. But it was a one-possession game going back and forth the entire second half, and Northview, through some foul shots, got a 4-point lead. And there was a 3 at the buzzer, but it wasn't going to impact that 4-point lead. But it sets up a pretty good meeting today. So I'm excited to see that happen. But I'm really glad for Heritage that they not only made it back to the state tournament, but did what they wanted to do, because that goal was to surpass last year, and they're in the championship game. So win or lose, they have surpassed last year. And they may obviously have their goal of what their outcome wants to be tonight, but I don't think you can say that there's ever been a better Heritage girls team than the one they have right now.
Top to bottom, I would say that one could make a case for that. Yes.
But I also want to say coming up, because we're the week ahead, the boys tournament starts on Wednesday down in Murfreesboro. So Alcoa gets Hickman County, and it's a night game. They've got a Wednesday night, one of the last two games of the day, and then coming back the next day, the 4A tournament gets underway on Thursday, and Maryville will take on Hillsboro, which is going to be a very interesting game.
It'll be a battle.
Marcus, before you go on, the district, the region, and the sub-state, a lot of that is the pairings or by how you did during the season.
They're seed, all seed.
Yeah. When you go to the state, it's handled a little differently, is it not? Is that a blind draw down there?
It has been for a number of years a blind draw where they literally pulled numbers out of a bucket, and that was how the pairings were set. There is a little bit more of a method to it now, and I don't understand all of it, but they try to avoid the situations of putting teams from the same district or region up against each other in the first round. That's part of the formula, but there is a little bit more than the sheer blind draw they used to do, but I don't understand all of the formula that they use for it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know whether there's a criteria like record and
but
competition.
But they don't do a straight like if you win section 1, that you're going to play section 8. They don't do there's no formula for that, but there's a little bit of a chance factor and a little bit of a seeding factor involved, but it's not a methodology that I've ever understood since they introduced it. And it's only been in play about 3 years now. But it did.
Is it written out, or is it just a mystery to everyone how they do it?
It's written out, but if you remember the playoff formula we had for football when we had 6 classifications but only 3 levels of regions.
Correct.
And we were everything was mixed together. It's about as clear as that computer formula was, which means there is somebody that understands this thing in the state office. I'm not one of them, and that's probably why I'm not in the state office, or one of many reasons I'm not in the TSSAA.
Nor would you want
to. And consider yourself very blessed.
The reason I ask is those pairings are very important, to different schools.
Yeah.
And it seems like the criteria is kind of up in the air right here, so which means that it's probably not exact. I don't know whether the coaches really know exactly what's going on, but
ideally, I think what you try to do is separate by geography to get pods of 4 and then do some kind of pairing process. But I'm not clear if that's actually a rule per se, because the geography gets kind of strange depending on which sport you're talking about.
So you don't think it's quite as concise and as well put together like how they put the NCAA tournament together?
Well, if you consider that precise, and that's our bar, yes. TSSAA clears that bar.
Okay.
And I can gripe about that one later if we wander into it. The other thing I did want to mention, because I want to give you time to revisit the SEC tournament, but if you've been driving by out on Broadway and on Knoxville Highway, you've seen this developing, and the rapid progress has been made, especially over the last week. Eagleton Ballpark is set for its opening day on Tuesday.
Yeah,
Really?
Weather permitting. I say that as the thunder rolls over and it's raining right now here on Saturday, but weather permitting, it's been adjusted a little bit. Originally, we were going to have both teams have home games that night. That has been changed, so only one of them will be having their home opener that night, and that is because construction-wise, the other fields are not going to be complete. It's just the high school fields that are done and ready, and because of that, there's still construction equipment and construction supplies sitting in what is going to be the full parking lot in a couple of weeks. So they can't get everybody parked, so they're only going to do one. But that will be at 6 o'clock. The grand opening with the Blount County government, the mayor's office, the county commissioners, That'll take place at 5:30, and then first pitch will be at 6. But that looks to be the first of a great project for Eagleton. I know several people I've talked to have told me that they have been shocked now that they've seen it with the turf in place and the outfield fences going in, just how beautiful that facility is starting to shape up to look like. It is by far going to be one of the premier East Tennessee fields. It really is. It's going to have the capacity with the auxiliary fields to be a real hub for some events and some things like that.
Yeah, my grandson plays for the middle school baseball team, and the parents, they're all so excited. I can't wait for the grand opening and all that. And like I said, it's going to be a great event, and the facilities is just going to be outstanding. And you're right. It's going to be kind of the standard for what everyone should try to achieve for their baseball facilities.
Yeah, it took a complete effort, and there was a lot of support from county government to make this multi-purpose, because it's for the schools, but it's also going to have an auxiliary purpose. And it is pure county property. It's not part of Parks and Rec, so there's a contract about who's going to be running it for other things, but it's a dynamic facility. And I would not be surprised if they have to come back and revisit it in a year or so and look for additional parking around that area, because I just think it's going to be
very hard.
A phenomenal facility.
You know, I think this is a great idea of what they've done, and I think the county really ought to look into expanding it. This is a great area to bring teams in like they do up in Pigeon Forge and the Gatlinburg area.
Yeah.
Sure.
You've got the airport out here, you got Knoxville close by, and you can, bring these teams in, build these nice facilities. You've got plenty of motel space.
They've got a place to stay now. That's what hotel space. We've got a lot more hotel space than we ever have before.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is a prime area, to take the next step in that.
Yeah, and as much as travel ball has evolved to cover baseball and softball and especially soccer, lacrosse now, basketball and all that. You're exactly right. Yeah. This could be a great hub.
Well, I know it's a gold mine just waiting to happen.
Well, let's go for it.
Yeah. Will the classic softball be able to play any games over there or not?
Parks and Rec has indicated they are discussing that possibility. And I think the hope is, and don't hold me to this, but I think the hope is that the games that they have the last few years been playing at Denso and at Springbrook would move over there.
Yeah, because they lost pole climbers. They used to have pole climbers. It's gone now.
So they didn't play an extraordinary number of games over there, but that would the fact that those fields are turf and can be used in any condition I could see very easily where they're not going to move anything off Sandy Springs, but it would let you play games and keep on playing even no matter what the weather does, so you don't get behind.
Yeah, exactly.
So I could see that really happening, depending on what Parks and Rec can work out.
And they've lost some fields to play the Classic on, some that they had.
Well, didn't Joe and Chris indicate that they weren't going to use Springbrook this year?
Yeah, that Springbrook is not going to be used anymore.
Yeah.
So
there's another one
bites the dust.
There's 3 that I know have gone, man.
So, Springbrook is still there. They just won't be using it for the Classic. But anyway, that kind of wraps up the Player of the Week. Our Player of the Week is unfortunately not here because they have a game tonight, which is, the Heritage Lady Mountaineers. But
yeah, I want to talk about that game a little bit. I just think it's sad that, you're going to the final game and you got injuries. You've had such a great year, and here you are. You worked for everything, and you're right there in the final game, and golly, there's that. Of course, everybody that's ever played sports, everybody that's ever coached sports or been a fan of sports, there's always that injury that can really hang out there and be a factor. And I just hate it for Heritage that they're not going to be at full strength, Market.
I do too, and I don't have the definitive news on what the testing showed last night when they took Carson for testing, but Coach Howard spoke like he didn't expect her to play today. And maybe the win it for Carson thing can carry. I don't know. And that's always a possibility. I was trying to think of a similar situation And the only one I could come up with was when Maryville lost Tyler Maples right before the state championship game. That's about the only comparison I could think of getting to this point in the season and then suffering a major injury.
Yeah, back in the day, we had a similar situation. My sophomore year in college, we went to the NIT in New York, and that's when they took all the teams to Madison Square Garden.
That was the place to go.
Yeah, there was 24 teams, I think, that went to the NIT, and they brought them all to New York to play. And a few days before, we lost our center, Jimmy Woodall, who played all year, and we lost him going up there. And we beat St. John's in the first game, a very, very outstanding St. John's team, and then took Duke right down to the buzzer. And our assistant coach, Stu Aberdeen, went off right with about 10 minutes to go, and they called a technical on him. He ran out on the floor. He just ran out on the floor, and it's like a 3 or 4 point game. He runs out there, and they were calling us on fouls. They were calling us red. They were calling us red. Fouls on the red. The official would red 24, red 34. And when Stu ran out there on the floor, they said technical foul on red, and he said, well, that's another problem. We're orange, not red, and they teed him up again. two technical fouls. Of course, they didn't remove you from the deal, but the next day, I think we got beat 9 or 10 or something, which back in that day was a lot of points. Now, but anyway, the next day, the New York Times had Fieldhouse Mouse runs loose in Madison Square Garden. They're talking about Aberdeen right there at the end of the game. The Fieldhouse Mouse goes. Of course, Aberdeen wasn't a very big guy. He was pretty small. But anyhow, those injuries can hurt you. Yeah. So, Donnie Moore, we're ready to go to break. Okay, we'll do that. Time for a break, and when we return, it's the Boyd Sports Spotlight, as Donnie Moore will be up with the national sports headlines, and then I'll follow up some UT basketball and SEC tournament action. You're listening to the Goteez Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
For over 90 years, Anderson Lumber Company in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. Locally owned, so the money made here stays here. Whether you're renovating a kitchen, bath, new floors, doors, or windows, Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store and can take care of you from design to install. We welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa for all your home's needs, or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. And Donnie Moore, it's time for national sports news and whatever else you got, bud.
It is indeed. I appreciate it.
And before you get started on that, I want to inform everybody that Donnie's going to be out a little bit. He's going to have some physical maintenance there. Going to get some shoulder repair. There coming up on Tuesday. So
that's coming up. So
we're going to be rooting up for you and get those ice packs ready, buddy.
I hear you. Thank you, buddy.
But good luck on that.
I appreciate that. Let's go right to our sports headlines of the week, brought to you as always by Fast Signs.
I think it's all because of those backhands that you go at Ray Trail.
Yeah.
You reach over.
Could have been.
Yeah, a couple of contacts.
Could have been.
Yeah, and that part telling us to go to break, where
got
that twitch.
I think
got that twitch.
Right
Time for a break. Time for a break.
It's something, but I'll be glad to get it fixed.
Yeah, good luck to you.
Thank you, Tony. Atlanta Braves star Ronald Acuna Jr. is recovering from surgery to repair a torn ACL and won't be in the Braves lineup on opening day, but he shouldn't miss the first half of the season. According to Major League Baseball, Acuna should be able to return to the diamond in early to mid-May, barring any unforeseen complications, of course. The left knee ACL tear happened in a game with the Pirates on May 26, 2024. Acuna, 27, was named the National League Most Valuable Player for 2023 after sporting a career-best .337 batting average with 41 homers and 73 stolen bases. Pretty good year.
Not bad. Not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. You're right. Well, per Bleacher Report, the top 10 NBA draft prospects from the class of 2025 are, starting in reverse order, number 10, Kaman Malik from Duke, who is 7 feet 2 inches tall and weighs 250 pounds. Big man.
Yes.
Number 9, Colin Murray Boyles, Colin Murray Boyles from South Carolina, 6'7", 245 pounds. 45 pounds. Number 8, coming in at number 8, Jeremiah Fears from Oklahoma, who is 6'4" and weighs 182 pounds.
Okay.
6'4", kind of thin, isn't he?
Yeah.
Number 7 is Derek Queen from Maryland, 6'10", 246.
Okay.
Number 6, Trey Johnson from Texas. You know that name. 6'6", 190. Number 5 is Ace Bailey from Rutgers, 6'10", 200. Number 4, Jace Richardson, Michigan State, 6'3", 185. Number 3, VJ Edgecombe from Baylor is 6'5", 180. Number 2, Dylan Harper from Rutgers. 2 of them from Rutgers in the top 10. Yeah, that's what I thought.
They should be better, shouldn't they?
I would think, yeah. But they should. You're right. They should be. Number 2. Oh, and I got number 2, Dylan Harper. He's 6'6" and weighs 215. And number 1, the number 1 prospect, Cooper Flagg from Duke, 6'9", 205, who actually got taken out of the game yesterday.
Yeah, and talking about injuries, there's another one that's not there.
That's right.
You know,
So is Broom not in there?
if I was
I got him coming.
an NBA scout and I was looking at a big man coming out of Duke and he just got injured, I would stay away.
Yep.
I'd be like, guys, you do what you want, but I'm not going there because that has not worked out with the big man coming out of Duke for anybody.
Yeah.
There are 5 other SEC players in the top 50 recruits. Coming in at number 33 is Johnny Broom from Auburn, 6'10", 240 pounds. Pretty good size. A presence in the lane, no doubt.
Yeah.
Number 36, Alex Condon from Florida, 6'11", 230. He's a good basketball player.
From Australia.
Yeah. Number 45, Adu Fierro from Arkansas.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", 220. Number 47, Chaz Lanier from Tennessee, 6'4", 199.
Okay.
And coming in at number 48, LeBaron Phelan from Alabama, who is 6'4", 177. So there's your
That's the
thought
top.
I'd add in those other SEC players right there in the top 50, but there was your top 10.
So what about Sears? You know what I mean?
Sears is, according to Bleacher Report, he's not in the. Is he in the class of 25? Is he coming out this year?
I think he is, isn't he?
Well, he probably should be in there, but he's not. Thursday, Warner Brothers and Apple released the trailer for the upcoming film F1, Mike, which stars Brad Pitt as veteran driver Sonny Hayes, who looks to have an opportunity for a comeback after missing out on chances earlier in his career. Release date for the film is set for June 27th in theaters and in IMAX. Formula One driver Lewis Hamilton makes a cameo appearance in the film and is listed as one of the producers.
Is that June of this year?
June of this year.
So
yeah.
what? They couldn't get Tom Cruise to do Days of Thunder 2,
No,
so
no.
they went ahead and did.
So they moved to another
They changed
form
their
of
F1
racing.
and
Yes.
bring in Brad Pitt.
Exactly.
Okay.
Josh Allen became the NFL's highest-paid quarterback this week, agreeing to a 6-year, $330 million contract with the Bills, $250 million of which is guaranteed.
Wow.
Also, the largest guarantee ever given to an NFL player.
Do we say it is $250 million guaranteed, or can we say $250 million guaranteed?
Yes. Also, AKA $250 million.
You look at
well,
that.
that's the key with the NFL contracts is the guaranteed money because
Exactly.
as we all know, I mean you're one hit away from your career being done.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing.
And if he is, he gets a check for $250 million.
But it's it's great for the players, but also if it's a big old weight hanging around your neck if you ever have to. If you fall apart with it, they change coaches or ownership, and you're looking to go somewhere else, you have this huge anchor hanging around you. You've got guaranteed money at that level.
Indeed.
Yeah, you're not going.
Yeah, he just looked at that contract like Forrest Gump, said, "Oh, all this meant just one less thing I got to worry about."
He's good to go.
Wide receiver DK Metcalf. He's a good one. Formerly of the Seattle Seahawks, agreed this week to a 5-year, $150 million contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right.
Yeah. Metcalf had requested to be traded earlier this month, and it didn't take long for Seattle to find him a new home. The 2025 season was set to be the final year of Metcalf's contract in Seattle anyway. So
Steelers may be
he's gone.
Steelers may be the future home of Aaron Rodgers.
True. That's true.
They're close to getting him.
After 15 seasons, the Fran McCaffrey era as head coach of the Iowa Hawkeyes has ended, come to an end.
Did not go well.
McCaffrey, 65, was fired Friday by Director of Athletics Beth Getz. Beth. Getz. Yes. Only one day.
Now I know the reason why he got fired. Okay.
Only one day after Iowa's.
Oh, Lord. I thought Coach Trail.
Where's Bob Kessling?
Coach Trail lives on right here on the sports page.
Where's Kessling when we need him?
Never a good sign. Okay. Go ahead. Keep going.
That was only one day after Iowa's 106-94 loss to Illinois in the second round of the Big Ten tournament. The Hawkeyes are 17-16 on the year and will miss the NCAA tournament for the second consecutive season.
Yeah, that's a sad deal. He was there 15 years.
Yeah.
He was there 15 years, I think.
15, 20 years.
And that's just a sad way to end. And then he
really
got
is.
and in the last game he got thrown out of that game.
Yes, he did.
I don't know whether that had anything to do
ejected.
with it or not.
Well, his son is an assistant coach at some other school, and then when he found out his dad got fired, he kind of lambasted Iowa, and his son's the boyfriend of Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on in Iowa right now.
That's 15 seasons down the drain.
15 years is a long time because I always think that coaching is like preaching. They get tired of you, and they get rid of you. After they get tired of you, they look for somebody
else.
Yeah. But 15 years in this day and age, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, and what was the name of the athletic director again?
Beth Getz.
Beth Getz. Okay. All right.
Goetz.
Yeah. So Tony, keep that in mind if you ever apply for another job somewhere.
But
I've already gone through a woman athletic director.
Okay, Tony. Okay.
There we go. All right,
you can't say that on the radio.
Where's Kessling when we need him? On this day in sports, March 15th, 1869, we're going all the way back to 1869, with 10 salaried players, the Cincinnati Red Stockings became baseball's first professional team. On this date in 1869.
And that was when they were still sliding into poles that weren't bases.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not kidding.
You're right.
I'm not kidding. They were poles.
They were poles.
1912, legendary pitcher Cy Young retires from baseball with a pitching record of 511 wins and 315 losses. No wonder the award's named after him. Huh? 1958. The Cincinnati Royals' Oscar Robertson scores 56, which is an NBA Midwest regional record. 56 in one game.
He's good. I like him.
Big O was pretty good.
Yeah, you know how he signs his autograph, don't you?
Big O?
Big O.
Big O.
Yeah.
Big O.
I read a book on him when I was growing up.
1962, Wilt the Stilt is the first player to score 4,000 points in an NBA season. That's a lot of points in one season.
Well, he didn't make many very far outside.
No.
No.
Didn't shoot free throws real well.
And he was 7 foot something, so that helped too.
Yeah. 1968, Bob Beeman sets the world record for the indoor long jump. He jumped 27 feet 2 3/4 inches.
Wow.
That's not a triple jump either. That's a long jump.
Long jump.
When my wife tells me to do something, that's how far I jump.
I hear you, buddy.
At the house.
You did.
Welcome to the club. Yeah. Yeah, you're not the only one. Carol?
We set that record on a weekly basis, don't we, Tony?
Yeah. I think you got the edge right now.
1978, the A's trade pitcher Vida Blue. Remember that name?
Oh, yeah.
God, he was
Traded
great.
him to the Giants for 7 players
Yeah.
and $390,000.
What a great player.
In 1978.
I saw him during spring training pitch.
Boy, he could play. He could
God,
pitch,
He was
I'm
a
telling
player.
you. 1985, Larry Holmes TKO's David Bay in 10 for the heavyweight title. Larry Holmes was a good boxer.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
absolutely.
was.
Birthdays on this date. 1946, Bobby Bonds was born on this day. Major League Baseball outfielder from 68 to 81. He was a 3-time All-Star and a 3-time Golden Glove winner for the Giants and 7 other teams. Born in Riverside, California, and died in 2003.
Great player.
He sure was. 1956, you'll know this name too, NFL linebacker Clay Matthews. Clay Matthews.
Played for the Packers.
Linebacker. He played for the Packers and played for the Falcons, too. Yeah, sure did. 1963, Don Symington, an American jockey born in Tomahawk, Wisconsin. Tomahawk. How'd you like to be from Tomahawk? If you're a Braves fan, that'd be good, but or a Florida State fan.
Yep.
Yeah.
62 years old today.
If you're an Indian, that's a good place.
Yeah. 1972, Mike Tomlin, American football coach. Mike Tomlin. Won Super Bowl 43, coached for the Steelers, still does.
Yep.
Sure does.
Went to William and Mary.
William and Mary, I did not know that.
Yeah, when I was at Sanford.
Good deal.
We played against him when he was a senior at William and Mary.
53 years old today. Happy birthday, Mike.
Great coach.
Born in Hampton, Virginia.
Yeah, great coach.
Yep. Deaths, couple of deaths on this day. 1966, Abe Saperstein, founder of the Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah, Harlem
Oh,
Globetrotters.
really?
Really? Okay.
Died at the age of 63. And 1995, Florence Chadwick. She was the first woman to swim the English Channel in both directions.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Sure
You
was.
tried that once, didn't you?
Died of
Yeah. Yeah, it took me about 3 strokes and I sunk.
yeah.
But that life jacket saved me.
I hear you. Died of leukemia at 76 years of age. And one more death to speak of, 2007, Bowie Kuhn, American Baseball Hall of Fame executive. He was Major League Baseball commissioner from 1969 to 1984
Yeah.
and died of pneumonia at the age of 80. That's it for this week's Sports Headlines, brought to you, as always, by Fast Sign. I'm Donnie Moore. Back to you, Gunner.
I am Mike Edwards, and I'm back here with Donnie Moore, of course, that just got finished up, and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and I've got Tony Ierulli here, Carson Newman, assistant football coach, and Alcoa standout former basketball player Dwayne Easter here with us. Talk about Tennessee a little bit. Yesterday they beat Texas 83-72, and Dwayne, your thoughts on Tennessee's win yesterday?
I think Lanier played good. Ziegler
He
played
did.
good. I'm about the South Carolina game too. The free throw shooting is concerning.
Yeah.
They're not shooting free throws. I think South Carolina game is like 40-something%. And then
Not well.
Texas was like 60-something%. I mean, I don't know what's happened there, but that could be big coming down, in these tournaments, these free throws.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're playing good, though. I mean, Lanier's taking it to the basket, which he hadn't been, but he's playing good.
Yeah. Tony Ierulli, first half was looked like Tennessee tried to pull ahead a few times, and Texas come back, cut it to 5. They got a bucket right there before the half, and looked like it maybe going into the second half, Texas would have a little bit of momentum, but the balls jumped out there to about 11 or 12 or 13-point lead, and it just stayed, didn't it?
Yeah. It seemed like whenever Texas was trying to made a move, Tennessee countered it, and so they could never really squeeze the margin very much and all that. But coaches got Tennessee playing very, very well.
Yeah.
And like I said, if they, the free throws were concerning because when you
And we started out good free throw shooting team, but I don't know, we've kind of gone down.
Yeah,
Last-
we have.
Well, Marcus Fitzsimmons, I like the way Tennessee's playing right now. They're playing very good defensively. They put 83 points up there yesterday, and what I was impressed with was the fact that they had really good balance in their scoring. Chaz Lanier had 23 points, 19 of them, I believe, in the first half. Zakai Ziegler, he had 19 points. I think all of them were in the second half.
Yeah.
Just about all of them were in the second half. And then Jemai Mashek, I got him circled. He had 13 points yesterday, Marcus, and that's a good sign. He's one of their top defenders, but he's giving them some help offensively now, huh?
He is, and you want to see some of that scoring picking up from the other pieces, because
Definitely.
you don't want it to be a situation like, just different. Lanier is different from Connect, but by the time we got into the second round of this week, everybody was stop Connect. You can't. You don't want them doing that with Lanier, or focusing on Ziegler. You want them to have 4 concerns. You don't want them to focus in on 2 players.
Yeah. I thought another big part of the game was second chance points, Dwayne. It just seemed like Texas couldn't pull a rebound down there. Good. We were getting 2-3 shots.
Yeah,
down there.
Phillips was doing.
Yeah.
He did good.
And Milichek had 12 points, and that 4 players in double figures. Pretty tough to beat that.
That's pretty good.
And but part of that, Mike, is you got to remember, Texas is playing its 3rd game in 3 days.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up.
Those legs are going to. That's where it's going to show on those rebounds.
And when you got the top defensive team in the country guarding you, it takes away those legs pretty quick.
Sure does.
In my opinion, and I think that's what happened yesterday. So now the question is, for Tennessee, can they win out? Can they win out in the tournament? If they win out in the tournament, they got a great shot at number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. And for Texas, they got to sweat it out a little bit, Tony Ierulli, because they may be in. Lenardi's got 14 SEC teams in, with Texas being one of them, but still, they got great talent. I think Texas is a very talented basketball team, and they've got some quality wins. I think they've got 5 or 6 really good wins.
Well, after the tournament, they picked up 1, so they've got 7 quad 1 wins.
Yeah.
And this morning, the ones I were looking at was Texas is in the first 4 out, and North Carolina is in the last 4 in. And to me, I think that's got to be SEC fatigue, because
has to be.
Texas has 7 quad 1 wins. North Carolina has 1. Just 1.
And
if your schedule and strength of schedule counts, those should be reversed. But we'll see what they do tomorrow.
Yeah, and if North Carolina doesn't get in, they're going to wonder about that lane violation against Duke, because that would have been a good win to have right there, buddy.
That would,
a win over Duke right there would have probably put them on in.
Never put yourself in a 50-50 call with the officials against Duke.
Yeah.
In the last 2 minutes of a game.
Nope.
Yeah.
Never give the officials the chance to blow the whistle for Duke.
Yeah. It was still kind of weird watching the SEC tournament was when I saw the matchup between Texas and Texas A&M in the Southeastern Conference tournament game. To me, that's still just seems
that's a great rivalry.
Great rivalry, but just seems a little weird it being a Southeastern Conference
And,
game.
but Mike, look at I think when you look at it, Tennessee's in the Final Four, but they're the 4 seed. There's nothing they can do to make things worse. So
they're going west.
You've got a chance to come out to play this afternoon. You're not expected to win. You're the underdog, which is where they want to be. So, they've done what they had to do, which was win that first game and not get knocked out before the weekend.
Right.
So you're on the weekend.
Yep.
The pressure's all off Tennessee.
Absolutely.
It's time to throw caution to the wind and go all out.
Because you got the top 4 teams in the SEC playing in the semifinals.
Right.
And you're the 4.
Yeah.
So you're the underdog with no pressure.
Yeah. Well, Tennessee ranked 8th nationally. Is going to play Auburn, number 3 nationally. That game's going to be at 1:00 on ESPN. So I don't know why are they playing so early.
1:00.
Why aren't
because
they
they're staggered, because on ESPN's schedule, the conferences that are doing championships tonight versus the
see.
ones who are doing championship. So the ACC and who's the other one? They're two major conference
I think the
championships.
Big
tonight.
Ten.
Big
I think the
Ten.
Big
Big
Ten's
Ten.
finishing up.
Those are tonight, so they've got the SEC semifinals on as the precursor in the afternoon.
And they probably don't want to get involved in rush hour in Nashville.
Auburn.
Rush hour hasn't ended from yesterday yet, right?
True that.
Auburn comes in as a 4.5-point favorite in the game, which is not much. Auburn beat Auburn beat Ole Miss 62-52, and then of course Auburn beat Tennessee earlier in the year 53-51 at home. So that being said, looked like Ole Miss's game plan was to to keep that game into the 60s or lucky in the 50s.
Yeah.
Keep Auburn from scoring. We're going to see Dwayne. We're going to see another 53-51 at Auburn. Are we going to see a game in the 50s or low 60s today?
Could be.
Which is going to be a lot of defense.
Yeah,
Huh?
a lot. Probably will be a lot of defense. And, Ole Miss, let's talk about them. They have played really well this year.
Yeah.
I've been kind of
They've
surprised
been a
by
good,
them.
good basketball team.
But, I think it'll be a pretty low-scoring game because of defense.
Yep.
I still love it. Tennessee against Auburn. Bruce Pearl. He still lingers around. It doesn't matter when or where.
He'll probably take his shirt off or something with us.
Marcus, if my memory serves me right, Marcus, that game in Auburn resembled a football game. Are we going to be looking at that again today? A very physical game. Be interesting to see how the officials call this game.
There are a lot of things that will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it's called, which I think from what we've seen, if it's called the way we saw the first 3 days, a lot will be let go. So it could be a very physical game.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see how both coaches and teams approach it as to how pivotal it is to them. I mean, they're not going in to lose, but you don't have to go all out. Neither one of them do. They're pretty much a 1 and a 2 seed no matter what happens. So it's going to be interesting to see how they approach it and how much effort they try to coax out of their players and how much they want to leave in the tank for next week.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. The head of the snake on this Auburn team is Broom.
Mm-hmm.
He got 23 points and 15 rebounds. That's a pretty solid game to win against Ole Miss yesterday. But he's the man, isn't he? As far as Auburn goes.
He lets you know it too when he's coming down the court.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah. I've got
He is good.
So does
There's
Hurley,
no problem
but,
with that.
Listen, I'm going to throw some things out right here, and to finish up this segment a little bit. But I'll get you go around here, and y'all can jump in. Johnny Broom, is that right?
Johnny Broom.
Johnny Broom.
Johnny Broom.
Johnny Broom or Chaz Lanier? Which one?
I'm going to take Broom because he's much bigger, and I mean he for what he does. Now they're different players.
Yeah.
Because Lanier can shoot from outside, he can drive, he can fall away, he can shoot the short jumper, but Broom is just a beast.
Yeah.
He's got good
In the
moves
paint.
down low
He
in the
does.
paint.
Yeah.
He's got really good moves.
If you were to put it in terms of whose hands do I put it in the last minute down one, I would take Broom.
Yeah.
Lanier hasn't shown that killer ability in the crunch
Yeah,
time.
the takeover guy right there at the end of the game is going to get you a bucket.
That's going to be Broom.
Yeah.
It's going to be Broom.
Yeah. How about Bruce Pearl or Rick Barnes?
Oh,
Jump in on that one, boys. Jump in on that one right there. Rick Barnes.
I'm taking Barnes right now.
Yeah, I would too.
I will take Bruce for the commercial and Barnes for the coaching.
There we go. I would agree with that.
But when I do my commercial of the guy ripping his shirt off,
yeah,
I'll Bruce Pearl for that.
yeah. He's going to get a lot more attention because he rips his shirt off and all that. Ratings.
And he's made some statements here.
No.
Just lately, it's not been too good too.
No doubt.
Pearl.
Just as long as he makes sure that players don't get invited.
I would take
on
Rick Barnes.
the plane.
Yeah.
Barnes.
Well, I'm not going to get any trouble.
He's got like what?
I'm going to take Rick Barnes.
He's got
on this one.
830 something wins now, I believe it.
Yeah.
Barnes.
Yeah, but he hadn't been to the Final Four. Well, yeah, he's been to the Final Four, but
he's what?
Yeah, and so
number 10 now,
so
or
is
close
Pearl.
to it, all time.
Yeah. Okay, I got a couple of these to throw out here. Number 1 seed, Auburn or Tennessee? Auburn or Tennessee, between those two?
I think Auburn's a 1 seed no matter what happens
Yeah, I do
today
too.
or
You got them in there?
tomorrow.
I do too.
Everybody got Auburn in that?
Yeah.
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 Okay, let's go here. Number 1 seed, Tennessee or Florida?
For a 1 seed?
Yeah. Florida's got Alabama today, and Tennessee's got Auburn, and then
I got
They couldn't-
Florida.
you got Florida.
Yeah,
as a-
yeah. I think they're just.
So you're saying it didn't really matter today. You still got them as a 1 seed.
I
win or lose.
I still think Florida's got
Tony?
great opportunity.
I think if
to
they win
national championship.
today, they'd be
Yeah,
one-
see, I
one
think
seed.
I think the winner of that semifinal is a 1 seed.
Yeah,
I don't,
whoever
but I
wins
don't.
that
But
one.
I think it's between those two.
I just don't know if
Yeah.
it's to Tennessee's advantage to be that 1 seed and be in that
May
West.
not.
In
May
that
not,
West
yeah.
deal because you
Out
know you're
west, yeah.
Oh, they're going out west. Is that,
you got San
Yeah,
Francisco.
Have to go to San Francisco.
Yeah, San
See, I
Francisco.
just don't think Tennessee is a 1. I don't think that the committee sees them as a 1. I don't think they're going to be a 1.
I agree with
No.
that.
I think
I
they're,
think they see Florida as a 1.
I think they're firmly on that 2 line, and I think the winner of the Alabama-Florida game is the 4th number 1.
Yeah.
Hey, it's time for a break, and when we return, we'll be back to close out today's show. You're listening to the Goteez Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensontire.net.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, and I'm here along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons and Coach Tony Ierulli and Dwayne Easter. And Dwayne Tony's down there, as we say, at Nashville at the SEC tournament. Hopefully he'll be back with us here next week, reliving his childhood down there at the tournament. And yeah.
Called him and said he's down there.
Yeah,
so
he's down there. Well,
cheered him on.
But you got the other Tony here.
That's right. We got that at Tony.
maybe
Legend.
maybe he'll bring him some luck down there, you know.
That's
Yeah.
what we hope.
Yeah.
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 Hey, let me say this. A good friend of mine, Nick Roddies, who's the head softball coach at William Blount High School.
The
Doing
new first year.
first year, doing a good job. I mean, he's 6-2, just beat Maryville High School. He's good friends with Carol and I, his wife Katie, and and so I'm just real happy how things are starting off over there at William Blount for him and all
Great.
that. His daughter's also
Very good.
the basketball
Basketball
coach.
coach.
Yeah. So
And softball's always been a strong program there at William Blount.
Sure has.
yeah.
Amanda Letterwood had
Yeah.
that program. She did an outstanding job, and
Appreciated by Leah England.
And Leah
Abby
England
Leah
did
and
an outstanding
Stan
job.
Painter.
Abby
Yeah.
Mitchell.
They
It's
good-
been a
good
solid,
program.
tradition-rich program.
Yeah.
Softball
Yeah,
there
so-
at William Blount.
No, I just want to mention him because he's a good friend, and
Very good.
just keep up the good work.
Very good.
Maybe I'll get a free ticket to
Yeah.
the game. Probably not. Carol will.
No.
I got paid. Yeah,
No.
ain't
You're not
happening.
getting a free ticket.
Ain't happening.
No.
Hey, in the other SEC tournament game, Alabama, number 5 in the country, is against Florida, number 4, and Florida's a 3.5-point favorite going into that one. Did that surprise you that they got Florida as a favorite? The way Alabama just kind of socked around Kentucky last night and
Florida's
threw
been
them out in
playing.
the alley.
Florida's been playing good though. I
They
think that 2 tall guys they have, they're good. And down low, it's hard to stop them guys.
Yeah.
And,
Charles,
they shoot free throws good too.
Charles Barkley says out of all the teams, Marcus, Florida scares him the most. I guess that's a compliment.
It's
to him
because
in
they can go inside with such confidence.
Yeah.
They can go to those 2 guys, and they're going to score.
Yeah.
And you're just not going to be able. There are not many teams that can body up against both of them.
No.
So if you don't get one or the other in foul trouble, you're going to have a problem. You've got to keep them going. You've got to keep them on the bench with fouls.
That guy, one guy, he's over 7 foot. Isn't he? The one.
Which means if you bring Zakai against him on the inside, you're probably going to pick up a foul.
Yeah,
True.
But there's a methodology to it. We know how to pick up fouls on the big guys, but you've got to execute that early against Florida.
Hey, what I like
Yeah.
about this deal is you don't only have the 4 best teams in the SEC playing for a championship in the Southeastern Conference championship game, but you've got 4 of the best teams in the country.
Yeah,
right here.
that's true.
I mean, you may be looking at the NCAA tournament champion, right here in this Final Four.
Very
Yeah.
true.
You know, another thing to make note that for only the 3rd time in Kentucky history have they been swept 3 games, lost 3 games to one opponent. When Alabama beat them, that's only the 3rd time in Kentucky history that they've been swept during the regular season and beaten in the tournament.
Yeah, when Don DeVoe was over there, I believe he beat them 3 times.
Yeah.
Beat 'em
Yeah,
once in
that's
the
right.
tournament.
Tennessee.
I think they did.
And one other team did it before, but
That's your buddy, isn't it?
Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Hey, Lenardi. I don't know, Donnie, how good Joe Lenardi is, but he gets
Yeah, me either.
he gets a lot of press.
He sure does.
He gets a lot of press this time of year.
Yeah.
He's got 14 SEC teams going in there to the tournament. He's got 10 Big 10 teams, 8 Big 12, 5 Big East, 3 Mountain West, 2 ACC, and 2 WCCs. And who would have ever thought, Donnie, that the basketball tradition-rich Atlantic Coast Conference, 3 teams. That's almost unbelievable.
It really
Wow.
is. It's
Well.
amazing to me that they, the decline of the ACC, and I don't say that as being a permanent thing, but they're not very good this year.
Yeah, and Tony, I really
Except Duke.
Tobacco Road just ain't what it used to be, is it?
No tobacco anymore. It's just a road.
They tried to bring in all those Western teams, and they couldn't get any help there, could they?
Yeah, it's a skull road now, not tobacco. But yeah, so what are the 3 teams that they're talking about right now going in?
Well,
Duke and Louisville.
Yeah, Duke and Louisville both in there, and who's the other one?
Carolina's on that
Maybe.
4-in, 4-out line.
They're the bubble team.
But, the numbers they don't sound right to us, but it's because the ACC is bad this year and because there's no Pac-12. And you're used to the Pac-12 sucking up 3 or 4 bids.
Yeah.
So they're kind of combined in that Big Ten number, but even those teams were not as – USC and UCLA are not the programs we usually
Hey,
expect.
I'll tell you what, I think the big factor is today, outside of money, I think the SEC and the NIL, that's helping them get better players. Don't get me wrong here. But I'll tell you what, there's no better coaches in the country than there are in the SEC.
SEC, right.
And when the SEC was trying to look to work their way up, they were talking about improving their schedule and getting coaches. They got the best coaches in the United States right here. And look at the ACC. They used to have the best coaches, back in the days when things were better in that conference. Not so much today. Marcus, what do you think, coaching-wise?
I think that's absolutely true. Coaching-wise, top to bottom, I don't think anybody compares to the SEC right now.
I don't either.
Outside the SEC, who's really the top coach outside
you could
the
look
SEC?
at the Big Ten, and you've got some really good coaches in the Big Ten, especially with the additions of the Pac-12 programs. But from proven winning experience right now.
So you think that's from SEC having good athletic directors?
That's part of it. I think that's part of it.
I think
really good coaches.
I think you can say that as far as Danny White over here. At
Yeah, but I mean,
UNLV.
like
Well,
Florida too.
I think
yeah.
even more of it has been the warfare in the conference on facilities across all sports and on pay across all sports. That conference rivalries, for lack of a better word, but that fierceness of competition between the schools and the budgets they've had to work with has just put them a notch above everybody right now.
Yeah. Really for the past 10, 15 years, it has been a facilities war between the colleges. In terms
definitely.
of so many different things. There's like when I would go to over Clemson, I mean, you go to their facilities over there. I mean, they got a bowling alley there for the players. They've got a haircut place for the players.
Really?
They got a nap room for the players. But that's not even talking about the locker rooms. And each team's trying to outdo the other. Now, the big thing about the NIL now, this is before really the NIL started really happening. Now, are the funds that used to be going towards upgrading facilities at all these places, is that now that's now money going towards the NIL? So I kind of think it's going to be a leveling off in terms of upgrading facilities.
And at one time, a lot of coaches didn't want to come into this league and coach basketball. Because it was labeled as a football league. Why do you want to go down there and coach in that football league?
Yeah, that's true.
And then here at Tennessee, you had the Lady Vols, winning national championships along with the football program. And there was that, why do you want to coach here at Tennessee? They got great facilities, but you got the Lady Vols, winning national championship. You're going to have to kind of face that every year, and you got football going on right there, and it just now that's all turned around. When you hire Rick Barnes, you hire Bruce Pearl. What they've done, and then Pearl's down there at Auburn, and golly, and you can go on with coaches that's in this league, right, or have been in this league.
Yeah.
That's made it what it is. But then you got to go even beyond that. You got to go to baseball. Look what baseb's done.
Yeah,
The growth
Tennessee.
they've had in baseball in this league.
Yeah.
You see, it's just amazing.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Even look at the other women's sports. Gymnastics is huge in the SEC.
Tennessee
softball.
needs a gymnastics team, don't they?
I've always wondered why
We don't even have one.
They don't even have one. That's which is surprising.
Or
It
wrestling.
is to me, too.
I have wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, wrestling.
But
Yeah.
flag
Women's-
football, they have flag football.
Well, I don't know. No, I was I would not know
Tennessee
that. I wasn't
does.
part of
Blount
that.
County does.
Let me know how that goes.
Hey, Lenardi has got Auburn in the south, Atlanta, Florida's in the west at San Francisco, Duke in the east at Newark, and Houston in the Midwest. And I think Houston's in. I think Duke is in. I think Auburn's in. So we're looking at really that west.
Yeah.
I mean, it would surprise me if it shakes out any other way. But if Tennessee's a 2 seed, this is where he's got Tennessee right now. He's got them playing Bryant first. I don't really know too much about Bryant. Does anybody know about Bryant? I don't know, but they got them playing. They got Bryant playing them first at Cleveland. And then they would play the winner of Gonzaga and Arkansas. And listen, Arkansas is no slouch. I tell you right now, I think they've done a good job there.
They do.
And they've got some quality players. I mean, they can beat you. And then I don't know Gonzaga. They outlasted St. Mary's out there in the West, and I think St. Mary's have been maybe a little bit higher. Well, they have been higher ranked than Gonzaga. But they'd have the winner of that, and then in the next round, according to Lenardi, they would play the winner of Louisville Vandy or Maryland and UNC Wilmington. So.
Mike Bryant. Bryant University is a private university in Smithfield, Rhode Island.
Wow.
With 3,751 students.
Wow.
And I think one of the things that's going to be interesting to see is how the committee reacts tomorrow. Because if you're looking at 13 or 14 teams from one conference, what strategy do you use? Because normally they might fiddle with the seedings to try to avoid conference rematches in the second round. They try to avoid that possibility. But if you do that usual strategy and it backfires and you end up with 6 teams from the same conference in the Sweet 16 because you kind of fiddled with it, you could really put yourself in trouble as far as your national product appeal.
Yeah. I'll tell you somebody I don't want to be around and right now, and that's St. John's and Rick Pitino.
Yep.
I don't want to be around them right now. And somebody else that's playing real well is Isso's team up at Michigan State. They're playing pretty well right now too.
Yeah.
But more than Isso at Michigan, it's St. John's. I'm telling you right now, Rick Pitino's got it going right there at St. John's.
Don't you ever turn your back on him.
And he's pretty good in the tournament.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, we got to get out of here. And Dwayne, good to see you
Good
this
to see
morning.
you.
And Tony Ierulli, good
Always
to
a
see
pleasure.
You. Always good to have you guys on here, and we'll close it out, Donnie. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goteez Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For Donnie Moore, Marcus Fitzsimmons, Tony Ierulli, and Dwayne Easter, until next Saturday, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.
And that's the final whistle. Join us again next Saturday for the Goteez Sports Page. The best in local sports.